Hare Krishna, Gauranga. A few little things to share. So one was that I've started another new nectar program alongside everything else, of course, is the hearing of Srila Prabhupada memories. Now these you can usually find on YouTube, and you can actually see all the Prabhupada disciples speaking, but they're also available on ISKCON Desire Tree, and you can just download them onto your iPod or your phone, so on and so forth, however you do it. So I've been listening to them. Maybe I've listened to the first couple of hours of them, and I picked up on quite a few things actually. So it shows you whatever nectar you tune into, you're always going to come across different wonderful stories, exemplary references and points that Srila Prabhupada made, and so on and so forth. One of which was Srila Prabhupada as the ideal guru. So there's one devotee, an Indian body devotee, and he was saying that he didn't want to take initiation. So one Swami at that time, so this would have been in the early 70s, said to him, "Oh, I thought, I've put you on the list for initiation, I thought you were going to take." And he says, "No, I'm not really sure, And one day during a Guru Puja, all the devotees were chanting for Srila Prabhupada, and he was sitting on the Vyasasan, and he was playing the kartals, fully absorbed, deeply absorbed, and he was also chanting Guru Puja. And this devotee goes, "Oh, Maharaj," as in to the Swami who recommended him, he says, "So we're chanting Guru Puja song, which is for Prabhupada, right?" And he goes, "Yeah. So who's Prabhupada chanting to?" And he goes, "His Guru Maharaj." And this devotee was like, wow, So we're giving glorification to the spiritual master, and the first thing he's doing is passing it up. He's not taking it for himself. And he says, "Put me on the list for initiation." And of course he explained to the Swami why that, I want to be the disciple of such a guru, who has that level of humility, has that level of connection to the parampara. And we know that, I spoke about these in the 30 key verses, Evam Parampara Praptim, Imam Rajasaya Vadosa Kalaneha Yoganasta Parantapaha, that this chain of disciplic succession was re-established. So it is vital that we stay in the parampara system by accepting initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, and such a great acharya and param guru that we have in Srila Prabhupada. If we haven't taken formal initiation, then take deep shiksha, from Srila Prabhupada's books, from his tapes, from the memories of his devotees. And there's one thing, actually, these Prabhupada memories are amazing. I found them so enlivening, because when someone loves someone, when someone has such, care and such respect and such great reverence for a person, the way that they glorify is so infectious. It makes you want to. In fact, already I've picked up random readings of, Prabhupada storybooks and some of the other, like these biographies and different things by the devotees about Prabhupada, just on the back of these couple of hours of hearing, So this is one thing, when someone loves someone so much, that spills over, and it just spills over to the next person. You see that with parents, they tell other parents about their kids, and they're so excited. You say, "He jumped, he did this, he stood up," and they go, "Oh really? Oh wow, that's so nice." And then they start telling you about it, and it just goes on, it catches on like fire. So we want to spread, the enthusiasm for Srila Prabhupada all over the world, because Prabhupada is our foremost, acharya, and he is that great warrior and great leader who brought Krishna consciousness over to the West and has spread it all over the world, and beyond. The other story was Srila Prabhupada was talking about instinct. He said that this word instinct actually has no real meaning. We're saying that these animals, when they're born, like for example the baby turtles, they know to run straight away to the sea. Or a deer knows that as soon as it's born to get onto its legs within the first, not even an hour, a little baby deer is getting onto its feet, because it has to move before it's attacked by predators. And then there was another story that Tribhuvannath Prabhu speaks about this in one lecture. He was saying that it was either hippos or rhinos, I think it was rhinos, and he was saying that their tongues are so harsh, and the baby rhinos or baby hippos have no skin development at that point. Of course, they're just literally born, but the first thing they do is they just run off. because the rhino mother or hippo, I think it's rhino, wants to lick them out of affection, but that licking of that harsh barbed tongue would literally skin them alive, would just kill them, So they run off for a few hours, and then they come back when they've managed to develop their hardened shell, which takes I think about a day or something. Now, is that instinct? Because science, of course, is saying all these things are happening by instinct, and it mentions this that instinct is a natural or inherent aptitude, impulse or capacity. And then, of course, it says animals acting on instinct. It says that genetically hardwired behaviours that enhance our ability to cope with vital environment contingencies. But actually, the Bhagavad Gita has a different version in chapter 13, which is entitled Nature, the Enjoyer in Consciousness. It goes on to say in 13.23, Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwaraha paramatmeti chapyukto dehismin purusha paraha. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. So actually, Srila Prabhupada is saying there is no such thing as instinct. It's the Supersoul that's guiding us. It's the Supersoul that's sending these turtles into the water, these little birds to fly, these deers to stand up, these tigers to hunt, and the human being, he's ultimately connecting us back to him. It's he who is always sending out those opportunities, sending out those signals, giving us that little feeling of, there's some danger, that spidey sense tingling, just like the movie Spider-Man, Peter Parker, when he's standing, and some danger comes, he gets that little flash. That's the super soul. And we hear about these things, we know that people speak about these kind of things, a sixth sense, a funny feeling, deja vu, or I've always known that, or I feel connected to this place, all these different things. That's the super soul. That's the past lives, because the super soul's been following us through all these different previous births, right to this very time that we're here now. And he's overseeing what we're doing, and he's permitting us, if we want to be material, he's permitting us to go in these different directions. He's providing different opportunities and ways. Now, of course, to what degree is according to our karma and our conditioning and so on and so forth. We may not be, the super soul's not just giving everybody that highest level of so-called material enjoyment, but what he's always doing is feeding out little signals, spiritual, come to Krishna consciousness, come back to me. And you may have to go through different ways, So this is an interesting thing that science, or even the study of animals and different things is and human beings is talking about instinct. But it's not instinct, it's the super soul. It always comes back to Krishna. It always comes back to Krishna's hand in everything. Material and spiritual, moving and non-moving. Krishna is there, guiding, permitting, providing all the resources, everything, and this is why, of course, the living entity is called the marginal energy, because you can chop and choose to go up or down, in that sense. But the Lord stays like a friend. He's always with him, So this is the actual verdict of the Bhagavad Gita, and that chapter highly recommend. I've been doing, just on a side note to the Prabhupada stuff, I've been getting back into what's called the Chad, or a chapter a day of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, generally it was recommended actually by Srila Prabhupada that one of the most successful ways to advance in Krishna consciousness is to read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. Now, of course, Srila Prabhupada was referring to a full chapter with his purport, and so which would be the best. If you could do that, then jai, fantastic. Read a chapter every single day. If not, then the next level is to do this, what's called a Chad. Now Vaisheshika Prabhu in ISKCON Silicon Valley has been one of the biggest propounders of this for the last few years, and he's got a website on it. He's been promoting it like anything, and he usually says, you can sing, as in you would do your slokas like Natva Hamjatuna Shamnatam, and read your translation and go through like that, reading it out loud, because that really deeply ingrains it into yourself. What I've been doing this time around, just due to time, is I've just been simply reading the sloka in the translation. I'm already on chapter 14, and it's been nectar just to connect to the Bhagavad Gita. Even it takes about 5-10 minutes, depending on even the biggest chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is, of course, chapter 18. So 2, 11, 18, those are quite big, you know. There's like 70, 56 and something like 78 verses or something, you know. They take a bit more time. But still, that's only 10-15 minutes of your day, you know. And it's absolutely amazing. So this is where I picked up this, you know, these verses as well, talking about the soul and the guidance and nature of the living entity and connection to the Supreme. How the soul, despite being in there, is not actually covered by, you know, by being in the body of the jiva. And this ties in with what Srila Prabhupada said, you know. So we can, and then the last point was Hari Sori Prabhu, who's famous, of course, for being one of Srila Prabhupada's servants for a few years, and he was talking about his living Bhagavatam. Prabhupada is the living Bhagavatam example. Now, of course, he's actually done many seminars all over the world on this, the Prabhupada, the living Bhagavatam. And one of the things he said was, I think when he was starting to kind of realise this himself, just because he said that Prabhupada told him, now your job is to stay with me 24/7. And he did that. He was with Prabhupada all day, every day, except for when he slept. And even I've read in his diaries and stuff, his transcendental diaries, that when sometimes Prabhupada would wake up, you know, well, of course Prabhupada woke up every night, so sometimes Prabhupada would pass by the devotees who sometimes were sleeping in halls and sleeping on the floor, and there were so many things. And as Prabhupada walked past, they would wake up in the middle of the night and pay their obeisances and then roll back to sleep. That was the dedication. If Prabhupada came past, they would not pay obeisances to the pure devotee, you know. So it literally was 24/7, you know. But yeah, so he was saying that, you know, they would be going all over the world, and he would be suffering jet lag, but Prabhupada wouldn't. Wherever Prabhupada went, he did the same routine. You know, he would chant his rounds, he would do his translating, he would eat his food on time, he would take his bath on time, he would do his Gayatri, all these different things. He would take his correspondence all at the same time. So whenever he went to the next temple and the next country, the next place, he would just go right into his routine and continue on. Whereas all the devotees would just be feeling sick and like be flagging like anything, you know. So this is this example: Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Chestasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Vibodasya, Yoga Bhavati Dukkha. That one who is regular in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all the material miseries, pains and miseries by practice of the yoga system. There's Bhakti Yoga at the highest level of, you know, such a pure devotee as Srila Prabhupada is freeing us from the difficulties and struggles in life, you know. So these are wonderful lessons that I just picked up these from, as I said, about 2 hours of listening to these Prabhupada memories. So on top of whatever practices you do, if you can slip it in, you know, just connect to some of those who have spent a lot of time with Srila Prabhupada, and we can also associate with him in that way. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.